Okay, so I thought I would read something from my thesis project, which is a non-fiction graphic novel about my mom and my aunt and my uncle and my grandmother and their experiences in residential school and other colonial institutions. So there are sections throughout where the character is mussing about stories. So that's what I'm going to read. What good is a story? There are so many stories. What are you supposed to do with these stories? Hide them in a drawer? Pull them out on special occasions? Air them out like dirty laundry? What's the point in telling a story? What does it accomplish? Do some stories get heavier the longer you carry them? Are some stories a way of letting go? Does a story have its own internal worth, its own value, its own merit, valuable regardless of its effects or impacts, its morals or lessons, its aims or artistic merit? Because stories of real life might not always have a moral or lesson. It's just some stuff that happened. Here it is, and you make sense of it. If there's any sense from it that can be made. And maybe that's all a story really is, a way of processing and coming to terms, coming to grips, trying to understand and trying to find meaning in the meaningless stitched togetherness of things. Maybe some stories are like a forest, growing wild, untended, leaves catching words like dew, growing from our skin, collecting in our ears, emerging from our breath, beating like sweat, trickling white cloth transparent, a medium, the stuff our bodies are made of, stardust and carbon in our cells, embedded in our DNA, epigenetic changes, those scars of the body and spirit written in flesh, ones and zeros, genetic code. What is genetic code if not a story? A story braided in flesh. A story of where we've been and where our ancestors have been.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Davey, and I'm reading from my middle grade novel called Signs. This is chapter 1. I take a bite of my peanut butter sandwich with homemade raspberry jam. I made the jam because I decided I needed something a little extra for my post-school recovery snack. It's not low-cal, which is something I unfortunately care about thanks to my tall genes, but who cares today? I adjust my noise-canceling headphones to drown out the sound of the vacuum that has just started up in the hallway and sink into my pillow. The best moment of my day is now, even with the vacuum. Blasting my favorite band, BTS. I love BTS. I mean, I love K-pop in general, the glossy music videos, the precision dancing. It's like listening to a perfectly wrapped foil candy. I don't believe in second lives, but if I did, I would be lip-syncing in a K-pop band. I'm not the biggest talker. When I'm not in the mood for BTS, I watch my other K-pop stars on their YouTube channels. Like I can watch Suzy laughing with her boyfriend on her channel Beagle Couple for longer than you think, considering I don't even speak Korean. # blame my parents. Suzy is really shy and often covers her face. Her boyfriend is pretty shy too, though not as shy as her, which is about as much as I can pick up. But who says you need to understand everything? Plus, they are part of my South Korean heritage, so we're connected by blood instead of words, which is very deep. When I'm in my room engrossed in K-pop stuff, I'm not anxious about school or the other things that take up a lot of space in my head, like how lately a couple of girls have taken to calling me Stank Girl. My best friend Nathan did some sleuthing and tells me it's because of my lunches that create stank. Ridiculous. I thought making fun of each other's lunches was a grade 1 kind of thing. But what is even more ridiculous is that those two basic nouns combined, stank girl, hurt every time. Thank you.
I'll be reading 2 poems. Calling. Home is no longer the palm of your hand. Rivers don't rage forth if their banks were cradles. Fleeing is not always for the brave. and belonging not always for the lonely. When you find me asleep on the soft soil of the forest, don't mind that I am temporary. As the leaf shades shift around the winds, I am yours too, sometimes unknowingly, and I will be home again one day. Arrival. You can let yourself unfold into 1,000 beams of light stretching from a prism. You can let your cupped palms catch the golden liquid sun and touch it with the skin of your lips. You are see-through and radiant and air, you are wind and gossamer wings. You can let your toe tips lift a whirlwind of crystal dust beneath your limbs. Let the weight fall, let the night shed, let the moon rise in your jet black hair and stars pour from your lungs. You are bird song and lullaby. You are summer memories born by autumn notes, and no winter shall ever touch your face.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Gregory, and I will be reading for my thesis, Moonlight Bay, a paranormal television series. This is episode 1, Silver Dust. Fade in. Teaser. A long road outside of the town of Moonlight Bay, night establishing. A black Dodge Ram truck drives along the highway. It slows before coming across an old gravel road with an age sign, Half Moon Quarry, next to it. The Dodge Ram truck slows and turns down the gravel road. A silver Ram pickup truck further down the highway flips on its lights and drives past the quarry, only pausing for a moment before continuing along the highway and towards the seaside town. Exterior, dirt road to Half Moon Quarry, dawn. An overgrown mess of skinny trees bordered by thick trees. The black Dodge Ram truck drives along a dirt road, spitting up gravel as it enters the quarry. Interior, Dodge Ram, same. Frank Cornell, 40s, drives the truck. His black hair is peppered with streaks of gray, his jaw firm. Frank, have you seen anybody yet? Samantha, Sam, young, 24, sits in the front passenger seat, staring out the side window with dark bags under his eyes and a permanently annoyed grimace. Sam shakes his head. Sam, no humans, no wolves either, for that matter. Everybody must still be sleeping. Ethan Cornell, 18, snores in the back seat, oblivious to the tension in the truck. He has Frank's black hair. The beanie he wears is partially off, revealing a furry wolf ear. Sam turns in the seat at the sound. He scowls. Speaking of wolves and humans, Ethan's been sleeping since we dragged him out of bed.
Hi, everybody. First of all, I really miss you, and I hope everybody's safe and secure wherever they are, you and your families. I just want to take the opportunity to thank the faculty, especially my advisor, Brian Wade, and my second reader, Maggie DeReese. I'm going to be reading today from my thesis novel, Bridget Rubenstein, Teen Medium. And yeah, I'm just in the revision stage of it right now, and I'm not hating it, so I consider that a victory. Now, even though I'm feeling my teen realness right now, something just doesn't feel completely right for the tone of my novel, so, oh, what's this? Okay. Much better. It was the fall of my freshman year, and it was the first time it was officially uncool to go trick-or-treating, but we were still too young to do anything crazier. My friends and I decided to play with some tarot cards, a Ouija board, and try to scare the bejesus out of each other. My gran, just before she died, had given me a psychic deck for my 14th birthday. My group of friends were super excited, and we wanted to hold our very own seance on Hallows Eve. Sophia had bought a Ouija board from her neighbors 2 houses down for $10, and we were ready to play. It was all on me to lead because I had told everyone my gran was a psychic medium when really she was just a wicked nutritionist. Carla, Sophia, Margaret, and I sat in a circle upstairs in Sophia's attic with lit eucalyptus candles surrounding the room. The soft tea lights cast hard shadows on our faces, creating a creepy atmosphere. The room was dusty, filled with old boxes labeled Christmas decorations and tablecloths. There was a slight smell of mothballs, but we didn't care. Pop music being played on the portable speakers was mixed with the sound of children yelling outside as they scurried around the neighborhood trick-or-treating. We were all having an intense sugar high on root beer floats and gummy worms. Empty candy wrappers, Russell's chip bags, and red Solo cups littered the center of our circle. "Should we try the Ouija board now?" Carla asked, pulling the box forward into the center of the circle. "Yes," Sophia squealed. Margaret looked nervous. "I mean, this is all fake, right?" she asked. "We're not actually really going to conjure up the dead." All the girls looked at me for confirmation. "We'll soon find out." Thank you so much.
Exterior schoolyard day. Mikey, the school's fiercest bully, holds Philip's arms behind him. His friends egg him on. Philip struggles, but is no match for the bulky strength of Mikey. "Let's see you twirl your way out of this, Prancy." Lynette jumps out of the car. She races towards her son, yelling at Mikey. "Get your hands off him!" Mikey's friends snicker. "Oh, is Mommy coming to save you?" "Mommy's coming to kick your ass if you don't let go of him right now." Mikey drops his grip and holds his hands up. "We were just playing, lady." "Yeah? You want to play? I love games. Here's one. It's called Mess with Philip's Mom. You know the rules?" Mikey shakes his head, still amused. Behind him, his friends disperse. "It's 'cause there are no rules, you obnoxious brat, just like life, and I can't wait to see that stupid grin on your face someday when you're collecting my son's garbage and have lost half your teeth to a meth habit." Philip stands behind her, embarrassed. "Easy, lady. I told you. We were just... Leave my son alone!" Mikey's dad, Todd, comes ripping across the lawn. "This is your kid? What's the problem?" "Well, he's an idiot, for starters." "Don't speak that way about my son." "Why not? He's what's wrong with the world." Todd leans down towards Lynette. "I don't like your tone. I don't like your poor excuse for a child picking on my son because he happens to excel in a sport yours would never possess the intelligence or grace to even try. You're a maniac who loves her son." "We were just playing." "Oh, you're a liar too. The resume builds." Todd puts a hand on Mikey's shoulder. "Come on, bud. Mom's waiting at home." Mikey shrugs out of Todd's grasp. "You mean not Mom." "Aren't you going to make him apologize?" "Nothing to apologize for, from the sounds of it." He leads his son away. Lynette yells after them. "Stellar parenting. Really. You should write a book."
Hi, my name is Vanessa Hill, and this play is called Slick and Sly, Legendary Monster Hunters of Pillbury. I'll be reading for Sly, and my sister will be reading for Slick. Scene 1. Enter Slick and Sly. Slick is trying to catch a rabbit while Sly stares out at the horizon, looking at the mountain range of the neighboring kingdom.
Come back here, I say.
Give it a rest, brother.
O foul beast, why dost thou tempt me so?
Quit your ever-present yammering, I thinkest.
You deprive yourself of thought from sun up to sundown, and yet when it's time to dine, that's when you thinkest?
Better to think of food than to be hungry searching for it.
Better to search and catch some morsel of food than to be thinking of it. Oh heavens, how bleak our existence is now.
Quiet you. There is no empathy for petty thieves in these woods. Not even the birds of the sky would pity us. Our fate is sealed. Slick, love-struck, cries out to the heavens.
Oh Claudette, how sorry I am. Never will I get to gaze upon your fair skin, your dark eyes, your ample bosom.
Ugh, thou makest me barf.
My love never proclaimed to thee. How I wish I could turn back the hands of time.
Turn back time? What for? The love you so desire has no interest in thine. It is foolish to dream of a love fabricated. Save your regrets for when our stomachs shrivel and our throats go dry from thirst.
What a fate, to be trapped forevermore with thine. Only to dream of my Claudette, my love. Is there a crueler fate?
But of course, brother. Look there, just beyond the forest's wall. We are not but a stone's throw from where our feet used to tread freely, to look forever upon the castle of the queen, our banisher. Thinkest now, she eats bountifully, and we are cursed but to dream of food.
But my dreams are vivid. Look now, look at the meal I have prepared. A Sunday roast brimming with cranberries and potatoes. Oh, how my mouth doth drool.
If only there was a way back to the castle without Dimitri rolling our heads through the town square. Thank you.
And I'll be reading an excerpt from my middle grade novel, Donna Hua and the Solar Alliance. There was a giant black box, one that was in better shape than most of the other junk. A mess of cords were going both in and out of the back end, although the front and sides were sleek. A few of the indicators were flashing green or glowing orange, and the faint whir of a fan joined the hum of the shuttle. It was a computer, an active one. I hadn't heard the fans last night, so Grendel must have turned it on somehow. "What did you find, Grendel?" I asked. "I'm not Grendel," came a strange voice over a speaker system. I jumped. "Holy nards!" I screamed in a very unbrave fashion. "I don't understand what this has to do with righteous testicles," the voice came again. It sounded female, rather prim. There was no crackle from the star radiation before or after the transmission, so it wasn't coming over the ship's comms. "Are you still there?" It spoke again, and a few lights twinkled on the computer's case, matching the volume of the voice as it spoke. It was the computer talking. "Yes," I said hesitantly. "Hi." "Hello," the computer said again. "I do not recognize your vocal fingerprint. I am the AI Explorer of Mosaic Industries, SAS Haraway Laboratories, Project 5519244. May I have a name for your file?" Donna," I said. "Donna Hua?" "Account for Donna Hua generated," it said, almost gleefully. "Are you by any chance related to Dr. Andy Hua of the Mosaic Laboratories?" "Yeah, he's my dad. How do you know him?" "He's the principal investigator and developer of my software. It appears I have booted out of my backup drives, which is unprecedented. Can I please call for Dr. Hua?" I swallowed a painful lump in my throat. He's not here at the moment." I struggled to keep my voice level. "When will he be back?" "Your guess is as good as mine."
Ethical questions troubled me. How would Holden's friends respond to my fictional amalgamations of them? How would my family react? How could I keep living people safe while unraveling the story of someone who is not? Where is the writer's Hippocratic oath? Is it ever possible to do no harm? And the biggest question, whose story was this to tell? I worried. Worrying was all I did. I seemed to be uncovering mostly bad news, the sordid nights of drunkenness and serious mistakes, the times he crossed lines with himself and others. I guessed at a lot of it, at most of it, but people told me Holden walked around whistling much of the time too. His life was not a misery. His pendulum swung wide. In my writings he seemed pathetic, but Holden was never in any way pathetic. Why couldn't I zoom in on him riding a skateboard with the wind at his back, or telling a joke over Eggs Benedict and having more than enough in his wallet to pay for it? The sunny days when music played and colors flew and nobody cried. Why couldn't I remember the details of his 19th birthday dinner at a restaurant overlooking Cole Harbor where we ate prawns and Holden blew out a candle? A random note in my journal directed me to find the happy. I know Holden knew happiness. People told me so. I witnessed it myself. But I was too sad to conjure any of that. I didn't know what happiness was anymore, so how could I tell it? The few people who were aware I was writing about Holden would occasionally ask if the exercise was helping me mend, and they would nod because they already believed that to be a truth. It must be helping you heal, they'd say. No, it's excruciating, I'd say. And they would not ask the next question, the one they wanted to ask, which was, then why are you doing it? I didn't know why. I didn't know what I was making. I just knew I felt compelled to keep going and I didn't know how to do anything else. So I sat at my desk and I asked Holden what he wanted to tell me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kit McKeown, and I'm going to read a poem I wrote called Jodie Foster. At 3, she played the Coppertone girl. At 12, a prostitute. Boys and men planned murders in her honor, planned to murder her in her honor. She came out without using the word lesbian. Now she's by the pool with her wife and sons. She banged the door down for decades. You can demand something and leave once it's yours. Once I stood next to a campfire and spoke to a woman about New Orleans. She took me by the hand and brought me into the woods. Just before she traced her tongue across my mouth, she said, "I have something to tell you. I live in a lizard colony." And to be honest, I thought of Jody. I thought of her pantsuit made of shadows. I thought of the word lambs in her mouth. I've been seeing my therapist for 10 years. I've seen her cry a few times. Once was when I told her I came to accept I might never see my brother again. Another time it was a Wednesday and there was a sun shower. Yesterday, with tears in her eyes, she said, "The only certainty we have is that one day we are born, and then one day we will die. Everything in between is up to us." This is how she told me she was reducing her working days to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I thought of Jody then, too. I thought of the asteroid named after her. I thought of how there's no right way to live a life. On to the next thing, and the thing after that, and the thing that follows that. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Adam Meisner. I'm going to read a section from my novel, The Tangled Garden, which was my MFA thesis. Elizabeth raced home after work each evening to see if she'd received another letter from Charlie. She never wanted to go out anymore. She only wanted to stay home and read something he had written her. And when she didn't receive a new letter, she reread the old ones, sometimes holding her pillow against her body afterwards as though it was Charlie lying next to her. Once she asked him to describe his most treasured memory. He wrote her a story about how, when he was a little boy, he desperately wanted to go camping. He thought it would be cozy to sleep in a tent, and he liked the idea of using a fire to make his dinner. His mother thought camping was uncivilized, especially since they had a perfectly nice cottage to sleep in. His father, however, was more inclined to indulge his son's fantasies. He woke Charlie one morning at the cottage and told him to get dressed so that they could head off for a night of camping. Charlie asked what they should pack for the trip, and his father told him they didn't need anything. They'd pick up their supplies from the camping tree. Charlie asked what a camping tree was, and his father told him that he'd find out in due time. They walked into the woods for about half an hour until they came across a hilly clearing that overlooked a meandering stream. Next to the water stood a lone tree, its branches strung with camping supplies, a bag tent, sleeping bags, and a bundle of firewood, as if they were fruit ready to be plucked. His father must have set all these things in place early that morning, but at the time Charlie believed it was a magical tree. He and his father gathered their supplies from the branches and set up a little camp for the night, the experience nearly as wonderful as he had imagined it would be. This was, Charlie concluded his letter, one of the most wonderful memories from his life, though he'd nearly forgotten about it until Elizabeth had asked her question. That was what he liked most about her, he wrote. She made him think about his life in a way that nobody else had. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Natalie Southworth, and I am reading from my short story, The Realtor. In the Pepperoni Theater's heyday, people used to ask for Beautiful Bat. They waited to see the small creature, mouths hung open as it took flight across the theater stage, with its torn and battered wings, its blood-stained lips and hollow cheeks. The ugliest puppet in the repertoire, my father wasn't surprised by the love shown to it. He liked to tell the audience they were in on the conspiracy. I helped him carry Beautiful Bat and another puppet named Lady Lazarus and set them on the front lawn. My father stood next to them waiting. A couple of kids flew by on their bikes, not offering so much as a glance. One of the neighbors from across the street stopped by. He picked up the bat and dangled it in the air and laughed when its mouth fell open. "How much?" My father hadn't thought about prices. "You can have it." "So it's a him." My father smiled as if the man was curious and wanted to know more about Beautiful Bat. "He's shy but unstoppable." "It'll freak out the kids at Halloween," said the man. As he bounced the puppet, I watched as my father searched for some tissue wrapping to protect its wings. "No, don't bother," said the man, the bat squeezed under his arm. We watched as he walked away and crossed the street and checked his mailbox and kicked a large twig off his walkway. My father didn't move his gaze until the man and Beautiful Bat had disappeared completely inside the house. After a stretch of silence, he nodded with particular emphasis, as if reminding himself of something he had to do. We returned to the basement, and my father lifted his Mona Lisa puppet from another box. If Beautiful Bat was his most loved creation, Mona Lisa was his most captivating. When my father made Mona Lisa speak, which wasn't often, it was with a stammer. The first time she spoke, and for all the times thereafter, he He was pleased to discover the audience didn't laugh at her. No one moved or made a sound. He came to think the audience was waiting on her every word, as if she was trying to explain but could never quite get it out, what she thought of them. Now he looked at her face, her prominent tilted forehead, pale eyebrows and half smile. He laid her on the shelf next to his desk and covered her with a hand towel.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Torrens, and this is from In the Spirit of Gwangju. The persimmon tea was cool and sweet, with 2 pine nuts floating on top. Just floating, growing closer to each other with some unseen centripetal force. Mimi encircled the round glossy celadon cup with both hands and gave it a gentle swirl. If Moon was like a father to her, she wanted to be an only child. She didn't need him to review and approve each full-sized image. He'd already seen the proofs. She wanted to hear him say it out loud. She wanted one declaration to make it all real, to feel he'd always be on her side, that he was with her, here, where she had no one. Do you remember telling me that if I was going to take the pictures and tell the story, I had to earn it? Did I say that? He smiled coyly. You did. Mimi bobbed her head and smiled, looking down at her reed placemat. And I'm not sure that I have, she added quietly. She felt she had to tell him her other reasons for being back in Korea, or at least that part of her felt like an imposter. It's like I've used personal feelings to try to get at the story of Gwangju. Moon reached out and touched the edge of the portfolio bag that was propped next to the table beside him. Then he looked at her, lips pressed together. Stories are personal, even if we don't want them to be. Gwangju still matters in ways that are both past and present. None of our lives are untouched by it. You've seen that. Then he leaned forward in his seat and picked up the water jug, filling her glass, while gracefully tucking his left hand under his wrist. Mimi hurriedly reached for her glass to angle it for him, but not quite in time. She wanted to take his words in. She had seen, and yet she felt the same old hesitation, that she would freeze at the first critique, and then all of the good feelings that she had about the work would fall from her like sparkles settling in a snow globe. Without that easy confidence, she'd be defenseless against those who were already always ready to trip up stragglers. She had vulnerability steeped into her skin. Just when she was feeling like maybe she'd outgrown it, or that things were finally taking off, she feared not. Even worse, she was losing hope that this junket would somehow bring Jay back to her.
Dizzy is when you think you're thinking. Sound is white sky cracked in light inside my skull. And isn't it funny how sound remembers just that moment 10 years old, when you, unbreathing, drift so slow the motel pool beneath the rattled wind and warm, while in the lot the rain sings up and dust puffs down in manzanitas, palm bones chatting by the wall where concrete steams and mom is reading, brothers sleeping, silence soft, and in the pool you sigh face up this chlorine dream. You hold the sky as snow below and you above, in blue and bright and rising dark, and past the edge those booming clouds, and underwater just this once your body's perfect. Pressure, pressure, pressure cracks to now, and it's been years. Dizzy is when you stand too fast, or at all. Dizzy is when you're really thinking. Not dust and palms. Not soft light, not thunder.